Michelle, are you ready?
I was born ready.
She's an award-winning author, speaker, and podcast host who serves on the National Faith Advisory Council. She supported Donald J. Trump for president before it was cool, from her she shed in her beautiful backyard. This is the Michelle Moore Show.
Trophies have turned to rust. People have let me down. Who can I trust? I found earth's riches, but I lost my own worth. When I hit rock bottom, to whom else could I turn? It's all for nothing if it's not all for you, all for you. I'm merely existing if I'm not existing to worship you. 'Cause kingdoms fall and reigns will end, empires crumble and left in ruins. It's all for nothing if it's not all for you. All for you, Jesus. In you I found the greater love. You are my firm foundation, in whom I place my trust. I found heaven's when you told me my word, you alone give words of life. To whom else could I turn? It's all for nothing if it's not all for you, all for you. I'm merely existing if I'm not existing to worship you. 'Cause kingdoms fall, rise will end, empires crumble and left in ruins. It's all for nothing if it's not all for you, all for you, Jesus. This life is a vapor, just a breath away. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust, we all return to clay. Don't let my life be a drink offering. Hold me out any way that you please. Without you, Jesus, it's all for nothing. It's all for nothing if it's not all for you, all for you. I'm merely existing if I'm not existing to worship you. 'Cause kingdoms fall, reigns will end, empires crumble and left in ruins. It's all for nothing if it's not all for you, all for you, Jesus.
Hi, everybody. So glad that you're with us today. I'm here and happy to be here with you with Lieutenant Mark Taylor. We're excited that you're here with us today. All right. So tomorrow's show, we're going to have a few things that maybe you didn't know or you forgot about, or so we're going to kind of take a look back at some things and just kind of make sure everybody's on the same page. You know what I mean? And then also, let's see, producer Ron's doing better. I've been getting your messages asking, is he better? I think he just needed some rest. So he got some of that. We left him alone quite a bit last week. And so he's doing amazing, just so y'all know. I know you were wondering. And then also, thank you so much for all of the testimonies, especially about the pain poultice. I got one over the weekend. It made my husband cry. So I actually printed it, and we'll read it after our time with Mark today. But yeah, we started tearing up. It's really amazing. So another great testimonial. And then I just got another one a little while ago. Listen to this. So a lady who says to me, she ordered the allergy, cold, and sinus balm, the body balm. Listen to this. So this was amazing. She sends me a picture of it, and as well as the other things that she got. And she goes, okay, we need to talk. What is in that allergy one, talking about the allergy, cold, and sinus balm. She got the 2 ounce. She had told me that she cannot breathe. She has horrible allergies and she has lots of issues with breathing. And I was like, you need to get our body balm, our allergy, cold, and sinus. So she gets it. She orders it. She gets it today. She goes, because why did I just literally rub that on my lymph nodes, on my neck, and on my wrists? My guide told her, and she goes, and I can instantly breathe, and I have not been able to breathe for weeks. I told you it works. That's all I know. So anyways, the clean version of it, I love it. And so these are the kinds of testimonials we're getting. It's amazing. It's just amazing. It amazes me. I've been getting them all day. Anyway, so I'll share the one that made my hubby cry and me, but my hubby cried. And so we'll talk about it later. Let's go on ahead and bring Lieutenant Mark Taylor in. I'm very excited to have him here today. I know he's got a whole list of stuff to talk about. My notes. So I have 2 pages of notes and I number them in order. And just so y'all know, we got to number 20 today. So we have that much stuff to cover. So Mark, thank you for being with us today. Looking good.
Thank you for having me. It's always an honor to be on here. I know we didn't do a show last week, so we're trying to play catch up, this week. So there's so much happening minute by minute. I mean, literally, there's so much happening. I mean, things are accelerating to a point where it's like, wow, it's even getting hard to even keep up with some of this stuff.
I know that there's been many times, especially recently in the last few weeks, where we'll do a show on a Monday, and then by like Wednesday or Thursday, we're already feeling like we could do a whole nother show, and it'll be just crazy. Yeah. So let's go on ahead and get started. So the Supreme Court has been swayed by foreign interests. What is President Donald Trump talking about? Let's take a look.
What did you mean a moment ago when you said that the Supreme Court has been swayed by foreign interests?
Well, I think that foreign interests are represented by people that I believe have undue influence. They have a lot of influence over the Supreme Court, whether it's through fear or respect or friendships, I don't know. But I know some of the people that were involved on the other side, and I don't like them. I think they're real slime balls. And got to do what's right for the country. You got to do what's right for the Constitution. That's why I respect so much Justice Thomas and Alito, Kavanaugh.
So he says fear, respect, friendships. I thought that was very interesting. What do you think about it, Mark?
Yeah, so I was trying to look through here and find it real quick. I can't find it. Somewhere in my prophetic words where God was talking about that there would be a controversy, one would be removed by one of these guys. God had already said there's going to be 5 appointed by President Trump. We've already got 3. To me, this is like finally we're getting a disclosure here that the Supreme Court is also probably corrupt or in some fashion. You know what I mean? Is what he's alluding to here. So he's trying to bring attention to it and bring exposure to it, which is a good thing. This is what we've been asking for. So what we want, because we want to address the good things that are going on as well. Yeah. And so to me, this is a good thing that he's actually bringing us out.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's interesting to see what kind of exposures end up coming from this. Right. Talking about exposures. Okay. I have noticed that a lot of people do not understand or know about the man that was standing beside him. So I want to discuss this as well. So Howard Lutnick, probably one of the luckiest men alive, as well as Silverstein, who owns the Twin Towers. But for those of you that don't know, Howard Lutnick was like the owner of Cantor Fitzgerald. And so they had, I think it was 4 floors in one of the towers. He lost over 600 employees. Howard wasn't there that day. Lucky for him. But look at this video talking about Howard Lutnick playing both sides of the fence when it comes to what's going on right now. Let's take a look.
At this point, Howard Lutnick needs to go to jail. Not only is he all over the Epstein Files, he has now just been exposed for massive insider trading. So today, the Supreme Court struck down Trump's tariffs. But guess what? Howard Lutnick's family firm bought up the rights to tariff refunds for 20 to 30 cents on the dollar last year, meaning they bet against the tariffs being legal, even though he was out there reassuring the public that the Supreme Court would side with Trump.
What do you think? How do you think they're leaning?
Well, I think they're leaning toward the president. So what happened is General Sauer, our Solicitor General, was out first, and the justices were tough. Let's say they were asking them tough questions. But when the other side got up, wow, it was very, very strong. And so I left very upbeat and very positive. And I think these justices are going to come down in favor of the president's powers.
This was just a few days ago, he said this. Now, estimates are saying that the Lutnick family windfall could be into the billions of dollars. I think Andrew Schultz sums it up quite well. He says, quote, "This is the Epstein class playbook 101. Fund both sides of the war and policy. Disgraceful. They have no love or loyalty to America. We are simply a vessel for them to exploit for their own enrichment. If we want Americans to have faith in our institutions, the Epstein class must receive the highest punishment of the law imaginable."
This is our Secretary of Commerce, Mark.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Again, who's going to hold them accountable? This is what the people are crying for. So what they're screaming for, accountability. We have no accountability right now, which is why we have a lawless society right now. So until they start dropping the hammer on some of these people, you can't expect to have law and order when you have no accountability.
True.
And we're going to show some of this law and order here in a little bit, or lack of.
And by the way, like what you're talking about, with accountability, that means justice.
That's right.
There are two different sets of rules.
That's right.
And everyday Americans like you and I are seeing that we're held to a different standard than illegals, our politicians. We're the ones, like we're going to see in a little bit, where a lady was like, my kid's not learning math in school, but yet I have to pay property taxes that pays the salaries for these public schools. Why am I having to pay property taxes if my child's not going to learn basic math in school? Great question. And so again, though, but we're the ones that are expected to pay taxes. We're the ones that are footing the bill for all of the different programs and things that are going on. And by the way, I asked over the weekend on X, how many of you were told when you started paying taxes that a lot of that money would go outside of our country? Nobody. We're thinking it's going to be for programs and stuff it's roads, whatever, in our country and in our areas. And that's just not the case. So it's very interesting. There is an image. Let's see. So President Trump says that I will be the one to shut it down. What do you want to share about this?
Yeah, so in this image, he retruthed this image out. And I've been getting attacked left and right from people saying, well, this is a military operation, the military's in control. Well, nobody's got any proof of that, okay? Look, I'm all for a plan. We support the president. My point to this is, what is he telling people in this when he's retruthing this out? He said, I will be the one to shut it down, which means he is in control. He can pull the trigger on this stuff anytime he wants. He has bragged about this before. He's bragging about it now. I want people to understand this. He can pull the trigger anytime he wants. This is not God's timing. This is man's timing. And I'm going to prove that here from a massive prophetic sign here we're going to show towards the end here.
Okay, so I just want to, when I see this, I think, well, how do we know that he's not listening to God and that it's not God's timing yet?
Well, you're going to find out right now with this prophetic sign that we got coming up here. Okay. So, I mean, that's my point here is that
we'll revisit.
Well, look, we have talked about this for months, Michelle. This is not God's timeline. You have people screaming about this. We're fixing to show even more proof of the warning that God gave like 5-6 years ago on a show I did where he was talking about that the patriots are going to take matters into their own hands. We're going to get more into this as we do the show.
If something doesn't happen sooner than later.
Something doesn't happen sooner than later.
That's true. You've been saying that. Okay. So the next one is, let's talk about Greg Abbott, probably one of our least favorite governors. And that's saying a lot right now because there's so many to not like. But let's see. So Trump endorses Greg Abbott, and he says Trump endorses Texas Governor Greg Abbott for re-election. Now, this is what got me over the weekend, where he said he will never let you down.
Oh my
That's why
goodness.
I'm like, I just think something else is going on here.
Well,
okay, so
it's not going too well for the president in the comment section on social media with this. I can tell you that right now, because he is literally getting it handed to him over this right now, because people are really, really upset with this. And they're getting upset because I'm hearing rumblings he's also going to endorse Byron Donalds for Florida, which would be a massive mistake for Florida. Massive mistake.
Why?
Because this guy's got a sordid past like you wouldn't believe. So I won't even get into that right now. But the point is that why are we going down this road again of endorsing rhinos or endorsing people who may have more money coming into the next guy? Why don't we get someone in here who's a new breed of individual, who is a fighter, who will take this stuff on? Because we're fixing to show right now what's going on in Texas and what Greg Abbott has in fact allowed.
All right, so let's look at the next image. It's American Journalist says that she's figured out why Greg Abbott, Governor of Texas, has allowed a Muslim takeover in Texas. So this goes on to say so what I was just saying, Abbott's top donor is from Pakistan. He's donated, let's see, in 2019 to 2020 election cycle, over 1.6 million. In 2020 election, almost 5.6 million. And this is millions. Wow. In the 2024 election, over 6.1 million. And then current election cycle, we're already looking at almost 2.9 million, already the top donor in the current cycle. His top donor is Anwar, and he is from Pakistan.
You're looking at almost $16 million right there almost, guys. So now, look, you have a takeover in this country, the Islamization of this country, which we've been exposing since I've been on this show. For the most part. Yes. What is it? Yes. Over a year I've been doing this show.
Yes.
And so year and a half, whatever. And so this is why you're seeing this right here, guys, is because this guy right here donating to this guy. Now, why in a million years would Trump endorse him? I don't care if it is a psyop. I don't care if he's dirty. This is the part where people are getting tired of the games. If he's dirty, just like he did with the Supreme Court, he didn't have a problem standing up there with the Supreme Court saying, hey, there's outside interest coming in here to the Supreme Court. Why aren't we saying this about Greg Abbott? Why are we having to play this game if it is a psyop? I don't believe it is a psyop. I think he's just getting bad information from people like Susie Wiles to who to endorse, this, that, and the other, and he comes out with these endorsements. So, and then we are the ones that have to pay for this.
Well, okay. So the first thing is it doesn't make sense that it's a psyop in this situation.
Right.
Because if you think about it, I mean, how many people are not even awake? And if you sit there and you say he's never going to let you down and all that, well, there are a lot of Texans that are going to believe that. They don't know any better. They don't know what's going on. They're not awake, like we say. So they're going to go out and vote for the guy.
Right. Just because Trump says so. So that's why, again, the time for being a part of the problem or part of the solution or riding in the middle is over at this point for Trump. Because the American people aren't putting up with it anymore. I'm reading way too many comments. I'm seeing way too many videos right now where he is losing his base on a minute-by-minute basis, and we're going to go into some more of that as we go along here.
All right, well, let's see what this lady says when it comes to Governor Greg Abbott and what's been going on there. She does a really good takedown of it. Let's look.
Because early voting is coming up very, very quickly, I highly encourage you to listen and share this video to as many people as possible. It is of the utmost importance that Texans understand and recognize the patterns that we have seen from Greg Abbott and take control of your state before you absolutely lose it. You have heard Greg Abbott state that Sharia law does not belong in Texas. You have heard Greg Abbott claim that CAIR and the Muslim Brotherhood have been declared terrorist organizations. The problem with all of this is that you've heard these things, but you have not seen any action taken place. It's one thing to read a post on X or Facebook, it's another thing to see these policies in place. If Sharia law has actually been banned in Texas, then what has Greg Abbott continued to allow? Why do we have women walking around fully covered and the only thing exposed is their eyes while walking around in your local grocery store? Why do we have halal meat that's been sacrificed to demons being sold at your local Costco? Why do we have imams preaching at your local mosques and teaching others the steps on how to slowly take over the state? Why do we have some imams preaching and teaching the others that they need to get involved in local politics and run for things? For Frisco alone, Muslims are 2% of the population. So why are they making up the majority of the decision making when it comes to mosques being built, stuff being taught in schools, neighborhoods being taken over? Why is only 2% of the population in these towns in Collin County having the majority say in the majority of the decisions that are being made by city councils? Because you're running out of people on city council who will be honest and instead would rather take under the table deals for votes. It's no secret that Greg Abbott's top donor is a Pakistani man and has been the top donor for the last 6 years. If your local governments are sold out by Muslims, imagine what's taking place at the state level. Greg Abbott can talk all he wants about, but the only person that you're going to see make a difference in the state of Texas is going to be Doc Pete Chambers. Greg Abbott may have the donors, but Doc Pete Chambers actually has both the morale and the strength to be able to put a stop to this in the state of Texas. If you want to actually see a change and see a difference in the state of Texas, for once, vote different. Stop picking Greg Abbott.
Okay, so she's saying what millions of Americans are saying all over America right now on social media about everything right now. You can encompass that with everything that's going on. She made a statement. She said, you hear these things, but no action.
Mm-hmm.
This is what people are saying about the president. This is what people are saying about Kash Patel. This is what people are saying about Pam Bondi. You hear these things, these investigations or whatever's going on, but there's no action. That's what people are tired of right now, and they're fixing to take matters into their own hands, like I've been saying for years now. But this what she's saying to me is one of the most important things that you could do for your state right there. I mean, God bless this girl, whoever she is. This is what people need to be doing right now. We need to be out here. Well, we're going to talk about a protest here. It's not going to be really a protest coming up. But, I mean, we need to be storming the streets. We need to be storming the email, storming the phone lines, because they're not listening to the American people. Trump's not listening. As much as I love the guy, he's completely blind to his poll numbers. He's completely blind to what's going on. He's only going by what's fed to him by his gatekeepers. I don't mean any disrespect by that. I'm saying this because this is the reality that we are dealing with right now. They have sheltered this man in place to the point where he can only receive what his intelligence gives him.
Okay. So there's another aspect of this. Bronze 56 says, how much did Abbott pay Trump to endorse him? That can be a possibility. Besides being paid off by Pakistan, just curious. Now, I have listened to other people say how expensive it is to get an endorsement by Trump, but I don't know where that money goes. I don't know what the deal is with that, but I do know that there have been many that have claimed that exact, that particular thing. So who knows? I want to go back though to something that I saw in the chat, and I want to make sure that this gets understood what you're saying. And that is, it talks about, oh, God's timing is perfect. So it's probably better to say these. So it's probably better for you to say, these things are happening now for a reason, and God will do his work at the perfect time. What you're saying is what?
What I'm saying is this is not God's timing right now. This should have been done a long time ago. We are losing innocent men, women, and kids every single day, which we're going to show some headlines here in a minute. Every show we have more and more headlines. The more headlines come out, the angrier the people get, the more angry they leave the president because they're sick and tired of no action. Look, we just, we just had an arrest made for Epstein, right? We got the first arrest, everybody. We got one. We got one. But guess what, guys? Here's the part that's going to let the air out of your balloon. It wasn't America that arrested him.
Yeah.
It was the UK government, and the UK government is literally imploding right now as we speak. Of all places, the UK makes the first arrest. It wasn't Pam Bondi. It wasn't Kash from Hell Patel. It wasn't Kristi Noem. It wasn't the Trump administration. It wasn't any of these people. It's the simple fact that it was another country who is literally falling apart right now that made the first arrest. And by the way, your FBI director saving the country up there partying with the hockey team at the Olympics. That's your FBI director, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
This is the stuff that people are angry about.
So you have Christians that say, but it's all in God's perfect timing. And so what you're saying is that you believe that Trump is out of God's will,
Yes.
and we're going to cover that later in the show as well, because you have something that
Every
we're gonna
man has
cover.
a path to walk that God sets before him. God has
Okay.
set the path before Trump. He has prophesied. I have prophesied this man's entire agenda before he ever got into office. He is
Yes.
deviating from the path because of those that are surrounding him that have his ear. You're speaking poison into the ear, which is why he was shot in the right ear, because he's listening to the wrong people now. And so they're guiding him down the wrong path. We're too busy worried about Jared Kushner's Gaza multi-billion-dollar deal versus worrying about what's going on American soil. Look what's happening in Mexico. We're going to get into that here in a minute. There's an all-out literal war on the streets of Mexico right now, which, by the way, you better be prepared, because it could, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it could very well bleed over into the United States, because the cartels are here on American soil. So you better go heavily armed everywhere you're at right now, guys, because this is going to heat up.
It's scary to see the footage of what's going on over there.
Yeah.
All right, let's take it. Well, it's scary to see what's going on in New York City. Muslims in New York City, are they taking over New York City?
Yeah.
Well, they'll tell you if they are or not. Let's listen carefully to what you hear.
Giving down. Yo, make some noise from the mother water right now, baby. MashaAllah, yeah. Takbir! Oh, don't scare them, brothers. Relax. They're over here on purpose to be like, oh my God. Who's seen those videos where they're like, oh my God, the Muslims are taking over New York City? You seen those? You seen those? Let them know that we are taking over New York City. Takbir! Oh my God.
Unbelievable.
He said it.
Look, guys, this is not even something to be doing a psyop on.
No.
You got an entire city that is under siege right now. You got an entire state in Texas that's under siege right now. We've had entire states and cities under siege in Detroit, around Detroit, Dearborn, Michigan, all these guys. They are literally taking over, and this president is sitting by watching it happen while we put buildings up in Gaza. This is what is making America angry. I'm going to say this 1,000 times, because people are sick and tired of this. They want action. Look, if he'd have put as much emphasis on cleaning up America this first year that he did on Operation Warp Speed on releasing the vaccine, we'd be cleaned up by now, and we'd be on the road to healing right now. You cannot clean up the rest of the world right now until you clean up America, because as America goes, so does the rest of the planet. They will follow. If you have accountability in America, guess what's going to happen in other countries? They're automatically going to have accountability. You make the first 4 or 5 high-profile arrests, and you don't just arrest them, you prosecute them, and you slam them in prison. If it's treason, you bring the death penalty. Watch how fast other countries jump on board. They're already following us economically. They're following us with other things. So why are we not setting the standard, per se, with accountability, with getting these people out of here? You can't sit here on a national stage like Marco Rubio and President Trump, quite frankly, hypocritically tell people how to run their country and get the illegals out when we haven't done the same.
Well, what do you think about, as far as we say hold them accountable, and we've got corrupt judges? I mean, that's come out even over the weekend, that we had another judge that was corrupt, that was arrested for child pedophilia or child porn on their computer.
Why aren't we arresting
talking
them?
a lot.
Why aren't we arresting them? How many of these judges are corrupt?
He's
Oh,
in
that's right. That's right, guys.
He's in
Come on.
custody.
They're not being arrested because we got a FBI director's too busy partying with the hockey team. This is the problem that people have. Now they've defunded DHS. You know, unfortunately, Kirsty Noem, I mean, she wasn't doing a whole lot, but they were doing some good at some point. You got to give them some credit with a little bit, but it's not going to be enough to clean up the mess that we have. It's going to take the Insurrection Act. That's going to take a military move to do this. And, you know, there's a part of me that wonders, is it going to take a Mexico type issue thing to go off here in America before he actually acts?
Boy, I really hope not.
That's what I'm trying to avoid.
Yeah.
Now, here's what I said the other night.
Okay.
If people ever notice that America is always reactionary versus we always react to a problem versus going on the offensive and dealing with it before something happens. Why is it that way? Why does it always take a 9/11 or this, that, and the other to get America to react to something? We're always reactive versus proactive and going after the problem and dealing with it before it happens. I'm a proactive type of guy. Right now, this Trump administration, they're not proactive, except for what's outside of the United States. They're very good at that. I'll give him credit. He's very good at stopping the enemy outside of the United States. I got to give him an F for the enemy from within, because it's the enemy from within that we, the American people, are fighting right now. Venezuela had to be done. I get that. I support that 100%. I support the tariffs. Whatever's going on in Iran, there may be more to Iran than we know. So I got to believe that hopefully something is more to that than what's going on. But the point is, we're not dealing with our stuff here in America on American soil. It's got to be dealt with.
Now, over the weekend, did you see the image that was going around on social media that showed about immigration that we're in a negative number now? And so in the chart, so to speak, we are deporting more than what is coming in a month. And so now we're down into the negative for the first time, and I don't even know how long.
But see, this is a shell game, though, Michelle. That to me is a shell game. It's a word game, if you will, because they're saying, well, we have more. We don't have anybody coming in. We've sealed the border. I'd give them A plus for that. We have sealed the border. A plus for that. Okay. But we haven't gotten the people that are already here, the 50 million that are here. That's the problem. So you can fudge the numbers and make it look to your advantage, which is what they're doing, by the way. Poll numbers, all these different numbers. They're fudging the numbers, if you will, to make it look to their advantage. And that's the part I don't like. It's like, let's deal with reality here.
All right. The next one is New York Mandami. He's the mayor there. It's just all this going on. So he's now proposing to defund the police in New York City in order to fund his radical agenda. By the way, did you see with all the snow that he was saying, hey, if you'll come in and you'll show and provide 2 forms of ID, we'll pay you if you want to go out and work shoveling snow. So they had to provide IDs to be able to get a job with the city, but yet he doesn't think people need to provide IDs when it comes to voting.
Do you know what this is fixing to turn into? They're going to turn New York City into a penal colony, basically, a prison. You remember the movie Escape from New York with Kurt Russell?
Yes.
Snake Plissken had to go in and rescue the president.
Yes.
That's basically what they're fixing to turn New York into right here.
Well, did he say something? Because I'm now piecing something else I read but didn't know the context. So apparently he was saying, like, stay inside. You're not allowed out on the streets unless you are working to shovel the snow. Like who
That I don't know. I didn't hear that.
Yeah. So I came across that over the weekend. If somebody else can say something in the chat, I'll look in the chat in a minute, or producer Ron, look for me on that. We've got well-informed viewers. And so if somebody knows what I'm talking about, did I understand that correctly? Because I'm not 100% and I want to make sure, but that seemed like the context now that I'm thinking about it. So let's see, we'll move on and I'll check on that in just a minute. And come, we'll
can I say something just real quick, hon? Somebody mentioned something in the chat. My website is not working, guys. I have my IT guy working on it. So just bear with me.
All right. All right. So outside agitator rates, did you know that they have different rates? Yes. And obviously agitators get paid. We've been knowing about the Craigslist job opportunities and all that kind of stuff. But let's take a listen to this guy who is an agitator talking about what he charges depending on how cold it is outside.
Really, speaking of being paid, how much do you get paid to protest? I know that's
usually protest rates go like outside agitator rates or just strict protest rates?
Just sign up, put your coat on, hold a sign that was pre-made for you, obviously.
You just hold a sign. I got a couple of pictures holding signs. I can tell you those contracts are lower, maybe 20 an hour to hold a sign. You want to outside agitate? I go 50 an hour.
Nice.
I go 50 an hour. And then that once we pass certain temperatures, we're in the negatives. Like negative 30 Minneapolis, I'm charging 100 an hour to be out here.
Yeah, you better.
You know who's paying me too.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I got the same check last week.
Exactly, I know.
Well, there you have it, folks. That's crazy money. So you wonder why these people are going to the lengths that they're going. Because they're getting paid. Like, they're banking money. And they're already nuts up here, so all they got to see is that, cha-ching, and there they go. Nick Shirley, get on top of all this fraud, and other people need to start, chiming in and joining and doing what he does. If I could, I would do what I can on here, because we got to expose this fraud. Where's that money coming from?
Unbelievable. $100 an hour.
Now he says, who's paying me, but he never says who's paying him. So I'm assuming he's referring to Soros, but he doesn't say, and we don't have that confirmed, but interesting information for sure. All right. So we're talking about the illegals. Oh, this is mind blowing. So 7,000 CDL truck driving schools removed or given non-compliance notices in the last 60 days.
Right.
So that means that you got Secretary Duffy, who's like the Secretary Duffy, Secretary of Transportation. He told these CDL schools, not to be issuing these willy-nilly CDL licenses to these illegals. And it sounds like to me there's an awful lot of them that aren't complying. What in the world? Like, I think this is treason, Mark.
Absolutely. Because again, how many times do you open the headlines up every day now that something's happening with a semi truck where they've hit and killed a family, or they've hit and killed, they just had one in, last week in Indiana, another one in Indiana. You got these, it's not safe to be on the roads. It's not safe to go to the store. We're going to find out it's not even safe to be on the beach.
Right. Okay. So before we move on to that, though,
Yeah.
I can't help this anymore. All right. So sometimes I just have to laugh. Okay. Grandma's Pony 2020 or 2015. She says, are taxes being taken out of their agitator paycheck?
Yeah. That's cash. They don't want that getting back. They don't want them circling. They don't want to circle back to that.
I'm sorry, but I just find that funny. That was a good one. I could just feel the sarcasm from Grandma's Pony.
Yeah.
No, that's our point. That's so many people. That's like the mama we're going to listen to in a minute, where she's like, why am I paying property taxes? I think that's part of what, I told producer Ron years ago, about 6 years ago, I said, Ron, here's the deal. I said, I've come to realize something. He said, what's that? And I said, I hate to be the one to say this out loud, but I said, Ron, I don't think it's going to be the kids. I just don't. I said, I think with Americans, when it comes to Americans, I said, what's going to get people out of their homes, off their couches, is going to be their money.
Yeah.
I said, I'm sorry, but
you want people to hit them in the wallet.
Yeah. And look, you said, what's the deal? Why won't people get up? I think a lot of it has to do with the fluoride. And I think the other part of it is, how many of us, I have plenty of people that have told me themselves that they experienced this in their own families, where family members have said, don't tell me what's going on. A lot of them are parents, their own 70-year-old parents, that are saying, don't tell me what's going on. I don't want to know. I've lived this long, just fine. And I don't want to know. And I'm going to tell everybody right now, that's not biblical. No. Because when you turn your face away from children, whether you knowingly did it or you didn't, when you said, I don't want to know, don't tell me that, and it included children and all of that, I believe you're absolutely going to be held accountable for that. And I'm going to go back to something, Mark, I heard you say years ago that I always think about. You said, and I don't know if you remember this. Do you remember you saying that you believe that people will be held accountable at a different level now because of the internet, because information is so easily, you didn't know because you didn't want to know.
That's right.
And so there'll be no excuse. And remember you talking about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So So biblically, when you speak something out of your mouth, you will be held accountable for every syllable that comes out of your mouth. And what people don't take into account is what comes out of your mouth on the internet, on social media. Mm-hmm. Because it's one thing to sit here and talk to someone and say something about someone. It's another thing that when you put it on social media and you hit the enter button, where's it going? World Wide Web. There's a reason why it says World Wide Web. It's going worldwide for everyone to see what you have spoken in a written language. You will be held accountable for every syllable that you even put on social media. Now, I'm glad you bring that up, because people are going to say, well, Mark's just hating on Trump or this, that, and the other. No, Mark is giving truth. Mark is giving correction where correction is due. I will speak and write what God tells me to speak and write, whether people like it or not, whether it's popular or not. I have to. I don't have a choice. That's what God ordained me to do. Now, here's the thing. Truth is now the new hate speech. Let me say that again, folks. Truth is now the new hate speech, especially if you're talking about people's idol, President Trump, that they've put up on a pedestal right now, because he can do no wrong in some of these people's eyes. So that is the new hate speech. And it floors me how many people want to attack someone because they have a different view of this president and what he's doing or not doing. They may agree or disagree. So the MAGA movement is fractured in a lot of places right here. And unfortunately, the president is the one responsible for that because of the psyops, because nobody knows what to believe. There's 1,000 different reasons why we have to deal with this stuff that I get constantly. But truth is the new hate speech. And let me say this biblically. If you don't like truth, listen to me. This is God speaking right here. If you don't like truth, you don't have Jesus in you, because Jesus is the spirit of truth.
That's right.
So all those people that want to say, oh, you're attacking Trump or this and that, no, it is truth. It is godly correction. Why does God correct? Because he loves those he corrects. He loves President Trump. I love President Trump. I want to see President Trump succeed, because if he succeeds, America succeeds and the rest of the earth succeeds. I know, because God chose me, ordained me to prophesy this man's agenda before he was ever in office. If you don't like truth, you don't like Jesus, because Jesus is the spirit of truth.
Okay. And I just always think about what God told me when he was calling me to do the show. He said, when you search for the truth, I'm in the truth, because I am the truth.
That's right.
And so what I say is, when you search for the truth, when you are in truth, when you're standing in that, when you're, working toward it, whatever it has to do with truth, guess what? That's God. You're going to find God there. God's in it. And so God's in the show, because that's what we focus on, is truth. I always tell everybody, I'll have guests that will say, can I talk about such and so? And I always just respond back, I don't care what you talk about, as long as it's the truth. It just better be the truth. Avery R says, I'm a water plant operator, and the state forces us to add fluoride. We have run here at the Michelle Moore Show. And you can find it online on our channel. We have many channels, whether it's Rumble, YouTube, whatever. Well, maybe not. It depends on which topic. But with fluoride, there are numerous educational videos, documentaries that have been done. People with their own testimonies that have worked in fluoride plants and stuff, and how their families have been impacted. I am telling you now, the fluoride is a big issue. And so I just got off the phone with people at the Granny Kitchen that runs all that with Godly Granny. And Mark, I was even talking with him, and he said, hey, we have a new product that's come out that's a pain poultice. You know what he said? He said, you got to make sure if it dries out that they use distilled water. He said, because mold will start forming if they use tap water. I mean, it's just, there's no telling what you're putting in it. Right. And but they're forced at the state level. The state is forcing people, these water treatment plants, to add fluoride. And I'm telling you, there's way too much information out there, especially in these educational videos and documentaries. There's way too much information, too much proof that they know. That's the other thing. They know it's bad for us. Okay.
Can I address a question real quick?
Sure.
Okay, so legitimate question here. What does Mark think about all the podcasters who are selling the Q movement, and they're saying, trust the plan, sit back and eat your popcorn and enjoy the show? Okay, so let's go back to let's go back to what God told me. He even got on to me about that, because I was supporting Q. I was saying, hey, just enjoy the show, eat your popcorn. And finally the Lord said, stop saying that. He says, you're hurting what's going on. Because he says, nobody, including the president, gets carte blanche. No one. He says he is to be held accountable like everyone else. We are to govern. If we, the people, are to govern, and he's truly, which President Trump's been very good about saying this, he's just not very good at acting on it, is that he wants to hand power back to the people. And when we try to govern, he gets angry with it, as we have seen in the past. Mm-hmm. And so it is our job to govern, to rule and reign from heavenly places. It is our job to tell the president respectfully, Mr. President, we don't like this direction. We want to go in another direction, as we the people. So, no, we don't sit back and eat our popcorn. I disagree with those guys. I made that mistake. I've said it before. I've made that mistake. I had to repent for it. I'm telling others to repent for it, because nobody, according to the Lord, gets carte blanche. And that's what they're doing in the Q movement. They're giving this president carte blanche by saying, sit back, eat your popcorn. In other words, don't hold him accountable. Don't watch what's going on behind the scenes. Just go with the flow and trust one man. That's a lot of trust to be putting in one person. There's only one person that I put that kind of trust in, and that's the Lord Jesus himself. I will put that kind of trust in no human man on this planet right now. And that's what they're asking you to do, is to put all that trust in one man and a plan that we can't even guarantee that's actually there. I'm believing it's there, because it kind of goes along with my prophecies. I've said that from day one. I still believe that there's a plan. However, I'm not allowed, and we are not allowed from a biblical perspective to give one man carte blanche.
Well, then you get into idolatry, don't you?
You get into idolatry, which is where this is at right now.
Okay. The other thing is, I just go back to the biblical stuff and say, okay, so what does the Bible say? The Bible doesn't tell me to just sit down on the sofa and just eat popcorn.
No, it says occupy till I come, which means you stand your ground and you fight until Jesus returns.
Yeah. And so, Taco Ride says statements like enjoy the show, take away the seriousness of the situation. It's not something to joke about. Yeah. I think that's an excellent way to put that. Avery R says, even though I make safe drinking water, I drink distilled water with Celtic salt. Yeah, a little pinch, it'll be good for you. Yeah. And so I did see something else about, well, let's see here. Rory with the story says, with all the deceit of unrighteousness in those who perish because they received not the love of the truth that they may be saved. There was something specific. Well, JK Cupcake says the truth was crucified on the cross, on a cross. Okay. So Zoe Daisy 123 says my pediatrician office finally is not recommending fluoride or melatonin for children. About time. So much more to go. There we go. Now, I just got off the phone a little while ago with somebody who said that he's got a 8-month-old, and he said, I know it's not good to be sleep. I said, hold on a second. Co-sleeping is being bad is a lie from the pit of hell. It's actually really good. And he goes, well, but SIDS. And I go, well, that's a lie from the pit of hell. You should watch my show more often. And I said, we've covered that with documents and proof that shows that there's no such thing as SIDS. So if you're watching this and your jaw is just dropped, yeah, Aunt Michelle's telling you, there's no such thing as SIDS. It's a lie from the pit of hell too. And so guess what? These children that just suddenly stopped breathing and they call it SIDS. This goes back to the whole VAERS report and also look at how, it's injury.
I've seen it, guys, firsthand on the street. I've seen it.
And so, and when you were there on the streets and you would go to those calls, Mark, would they tell you, would you find out that they had just been to the pediatrician?
No. No.
Yeah. See, people don't.
How are you going to find out that a 6-month-old or an 8-month-old that you're working a code on has just been to the doctor, especially when you're working in the ghettos, unfortunately.
Most
you're not going to get that kind of information.
Yep. Most people would not put the two together. No. But what has happened, and we have videos, we can cover it. Y'all leave a message if you want me to cover that. We kept that information and that proof, and I'm happy to do another show on it again. It's been a minute, but we've got the proof. We've kept all that. Here's what I was looking for. No Nonsense Net is the one that said it. The ungodly apathy is rampant. Mark, I think No Nonsense Net has got a point. Do you, what do you think about that? I think there's some apathy where people are like, I don't want to know. Don't tell me.
Well, I think there's apathy. There's different types of apathy. You have that group that you're talking about that they don't want to know. Then you have the group that says, sit back and eat your popcorn. That's apathy, guys. That's not action. And that's why God says biblically, faith without works is dead.
Yes. I was just
so we have to get involved. We have to do something because, again, you have to put action to your faith in order to make it work.
Okay. And so what is that action? It's prayer. It's getting up. It's everybody. I've said this over and over. We all have a different calling. We all have different purposes for our lives. My calling is not the same as Mark's. Right. Mark is called to something completely different. I'm called to something completely different than you are. And so you may be watching, you're like, God use me. Just be prepared when you say God use me. Okay. Yeah. I've talked about that before. It's not going to always look like we think it's going to look. Did I think I'd be doing this? No. And Mark, I'm sure you didn't either. Nope. But Grammy says, I got to say this one. So Grammy says, it will be their money or their dogs. New York wants to ban dogs. I've thought about that. Wow. Have you heard all this ruckus going on with, hey,
I didn't know
Muslims,
about that.
You got the old Muslim thing. Good luck with all that. Okay. So, KM Sunshine says I got too big eating popcorn and started exercising and walking in my neighborhood. Oh my gosh. So we laugh, but yeah, I mean, just to keep some of the sanity, so keep some of our sanity, I guess. All right. So let's keep going. So illegal alien accused of trying to randomly drown women at Florida beach, randomly just pick someone, was shielded from deportation by the Biden administration. So let's just let them stay. They're not going to hurt anybody.
So
right.
now you can't walk down the beach, guys.
Florida Beach.
Florida Beach. You can't even walk down the beach. You can't drive on the highways. You can't walk down the beach. But yet we're building in Gaza. We're partying with hockey teams. We're doing all this. This is a bad look for the Trump administration. I'm just being blatantly honest. This is a very bad look for Trump. This is a very bad look for his entire administration, especially to be up there partying right now when America's burning right now. And we got a full-blown war going on our border right now, right just south of our border, a full-blown war.
Yeah.
So it would not look good right now if President Trump walked into a football game to feed his ego with the crowd right now. It really would not, because I mean, it's kind of hard to blame Kash Patel for that, because his boss does this kind of the same thing. This is where I've disagreed with this, because it's not a good look. It really is not. Not with everything that we have going on in this country right now, because we're about to collapse if we're not careful.
All right. Criminal illegal from Mexico shoots a South Carolina officer in the chest while attempting to flee.
Yep. And see, why are we deporting people like this? If you shoot a cop, it should be the death penalty. I don't care what country you are from, you get the death penalty. Why are we even wasting all this money? How much money does it cost to send these people back?
Thousands.
So why, if I got 50 Somalians that need to go back to Somalia, why am I not calling the prime minister of Somalia saying, you send a plane over here and pick them up at your expense? You send them over here, you come get them. Why should me and you be paying for it?
Great point. And Mark, how many times have we seen where somebody's been deported 3 and 4 times? Yeah. So who's to say the guy won't come back?
That's right. That's right. And by the way, the border may be shut, guys, but there's probably still some coming in via tunnels that we don't know about, because there are tunnels underneath the border.
Yeah. Good point. All right. So, earlier in the show, I talked about the mom that was saying, why am I paying property taxes? My daughter's in a classroom, one of 4 that speaks English. 20 plus doesn't speak English, so the teacher's not teaching math. Let's take a look at this woman and what she has to say.
I'm about to ask what I'm not supposed to ask. Why is one of my children in a class where she's one of 4 kids that speaks English in math, and she doesn't get to learn math because there's 20 plus other kids who don't know English, and the teacher has to accommodate them? And I'm not blaming the teacher. I actually feel really bad for the teachers. Why? Why am I paying property taxes? Why am I paying income tax? Why am I paying taxes for anything for my children to have the right to a free and public education, which, by the way, they constantly are trying to take the ability for us to homeschool and all that stuff away to make them go to public school. But then when they go to public school, this is what they get. You don't get to learn math because you know English, so you just don't get to learn math. What?
Unbelievable.
If I didn't see this for myself, I wouldn't hardly believe it. But she clearly says what's going on. Yeah. This is complete insanity to me.
And look, somebody just brought up a good point here in the chat. Is like, we have the southern border closed, but nobody ever says anything about the Canadian border.
Oh, I know.
With all the issues we're having with Canada right now, it would surprise me if they just didn't switch gears and just start flooding in from the north, guys.
Well, now
Canada just letting it happen.
Do you remember, or did you ever know about, like, during the slowing of the spread, supposedly there were quite a few Chinese that were up in Canada in a wilderness area, and they were doing all different kinds of training and stuff. Yep. So, I mean, I'm just saying, you're right. Nobody talks about.
We have Chinese nationals here on American soil that are being armed, from what we've been told. We have Islamic terrorists that are being armed. We have the cartels here that are fighting it out right now as we speak. So, I mean, there's a lot that could set this place off. We're sitting on a powder keg right now, but yet we're partying. We're walking into the football games. We're dealing with, I mean, the list goes on and on.
All right. Next one. Who can bring charges to those that are on the Epstein list? Let's take a look. Have it explained to us.
Hey, Mohammed.
Yes.
From the last Epstein video, people are asking who can bring charges to the people on the Epstein list. Can you as an attorney bring a charge? Can I bring a charge? I mean, who can legally do it?
No, I can't bring a charge. You have to be an elected prosecutor in that jurisdiction, unless it's federal, in which case you're appointed. But the local prosecutors in Florida, the local prosecutors in the Virgin Islands, and for over a decade, the local prosecutors in New York could have brought the charges. Florida can still bring charges, and the Virgin Islands can still bring charges, and they should, because if the local people do it, Donald Trump can't pardon them. Donald Trump can't stop the investigation. Donald Trump couldn't even pardon himself when he got convicted by the local prosecutor in New York. So it's actually probably better if they bring it at a local level, Florida or the Virgin Islands.
All right.
That's actually good information. Quite honestly, 'cause some of that I didn't know.
Yeah, it's good.
So, yeah.
Saw that over the weekend. Okay, so on YouTube, Philip Gray, he says something here. I want to ask a question. So he says, I'm in Canada, and that's true. Which part? We said a lot about Canada. Philip, will you please respond, and we'll come back to that.
Probably talking about the open border up there.
Yeah. Well, I want to know exactly what. So,
Yep.
so spill the beans, Philip. Okay. He's on air a lot of times. So
Give us the truth. That's all we want. We just want the truth.
that's right. Spill the beans. Tell us exactly what you're agreeing to. That's the part I want to know. All right. So if you would please. Okay. So Dershowitz. Oh, this guy. How is he on TV? I just don't even understand how he. There's so much that it just doesn't even make sense to me about this guy. But listen to this interview that he says about the Mossad and the CIA.
That Jeffrey Epstein just had a completely different life that he just did not tell you about. And it may also have included being a spy. I mean, clearly.
Telling me that he worked for the Mossad would have given him a get out of jail free card. I could have gotten him no jail time. If he had told me he worked for the Mossad, for the CIA, it would have been a slam dunk for me to go to whoever I had to go to, even up to the President of the United States, and I would have gotten him a deal with no time at all.
Hang on a second. You mean if he'd said he was working with the Mossad or CIA, then he would get off being a pedophile?
That's right.
Remember earlier when I was talking about the rules for us, the everyday American, property taxpayers, and then there's the politicians and the illegals, because they're pretty much at the same level. I'm just saying they get away with all kinds of crime. They don't have to pay off all kinds of stuff. I mean, I'm starting to see that they're in a whole nother class with the politicians, and it's us that are caught with the bill, by the way, because the government, I hate to break it to everybody, but just think about this for a second. If you haven't before, they don't sell a service. They don't provide any kind of a product. So how do they make money? Us. And by the way, they could just print more money. They want it from us so that we stay broke. Okay. Crazy. All right, so let's see. Philip said, I have not heard back from Philip yet, but I did see, here he goes, the open border, the Chinese Communist Party, criminal organizations that are out of the control up here, unvetted people that have come in, et cetera, et cetera. Thank you so much. Also, we have another viewer that I know specifically is from Canada. Her name is Red Clay Lane, and she says, Canada is a lost cause. I am Canadian. The Canadian military is allowing mercenaries from other countries to enroll. PEI has a huge scandal regarding monks from China buying up land. Interesting. So Red Clay Lane, thank you for weighing in as well. Those are two Canadians that are always on my radar.
I'm not going to say Canada's a lost cause. Okay, I want to give some hope here to the Canadians. I really do. I don't think Canada is a lost cause. I don't think America is a lost cause. I think what's happening here, there are stall tactics happening by the deep state that people are falling for, including our president right now. That's why this is taking so long. I believe once we clean America up, so does the rest of the world goes. And Canada's sitting right there on our border, which means we have direct action that America can take to seal that shut and then help assist Canada in what they need.
By the way, PEI is Prince Edward Island. You make a great point. Yeah. Make a great point. Okay. And I know, by the way, I know a lot of people that are outside the United States, whether it's Canada, Australia, that have written to me and have said, we're watching America. Our hopes are that you all lead the way. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. As America leads, so does the rest of the earth. And that's why I think, look, Trump doesn't have just American patriots getting angry with him. I think he's got patriots all over in this movement that started off with him because people like that have their hopes. Then whatever happens in America will happen in my country. It will happen in Australia. It'll happen in Canada. You know what I mean? So I think he's catching it 360 degrees right now, and people are turning against him because of this. And again, I go back to the midterms. If he doesn't do accountability, if he doesn't start acting, we're going to hand the Democrats the midterms if we're not careful, because nobody's going to show up to vote. Because when you rob the people of hope, you rob them of the will to fight. He's robbing people of hope in one aspect because he's not keeping the promises. He's not acting. So therefore, just like what happened in Texas, the most conservative county, about 3 weeks ago, we had an election down there. The most conservative county in the country turned Democrat for the first time. Why? Because the Republicans lost hope and didn't show up to vote.
Well, I did see something yesterday where, and I don't remember the specifics, but maybe it was this morning, where I think it was President Trump is saying he's going to sign some kind of an executive order. He's going to do something that will have to do with the elections for the midterms. And so,
I hope that holds more weight than the prior executive orders that he has signed, such as censorship, which has done nothing to stop censorship. So this is why people are losing hope.
Good point, Mark. I hear you. Okay.
I mean, does people? I don't know.
I hear you, but here's the thing. I am, I'm a very optimistic person, but I'm also realistic. But my hope is that a lot of this is exposure. Why would everybody see Kash Patel in that video clip? You know, like, I wonder sometimes, is that exposure? But then again, like, just look at how he's not doing anything with the Epstein list, but look at him over here, you know.
Okay, so let's go with that theory. Let's go with that theory for a second. Let's go with that theory.
Let's do that.
Let's do that theory. I'm going to review Michelle here for a minute.
Okay.
So let's go with Michelle's theory that Pam Blondie, Kirsty Noem, and Kash Patel, they're all this psyop, right? He's in the exposure phase with all of this. I'm going to ask a question for the people out there right now. Put it in the comments, guys.
Oh boy.
Do we have time for this nonsense versus releasing the truth on Pam Bondi and Kash Patel? And if they are corrupt, then bust them. Take them down as the criminals that they may be. I don't know. If that's the case, do we have time for this, Michelle? That's my question.
Look, I think this goes back though to the cognitive dissonance. And see, I personally do not believe that people are ready. Look at how many Americans, I just cannot believe how many Americans, first of all, masked up and did everything that they were told to do during the whole slowing of the spread. I cannot believe that we have got people who are following the ICE agents, calling them out, trying to take advantage of going, nobody's illegal, you know, on American soil. I cannot believe the amount of crazy we have. The people, you know, that, I hate to say it, but the bright colored hair that hate men and love cats. I'm sorry, but you got an awful lot of man haters who are so
Are we going to wake those people up though? Are we really going to wake those people up? Because they're demon possessed. It's going to take deliverance. So why are we wasting our time with that is my point.
Because you still have the ones that say, don't tell me, I don't want to know. And they still believe that
ones you were talking about, right?
You still have moms and dads that still show up to the doctor's offices and listen to the doctors. I mean, you don't have people awake.
That's the apathetic crowd you were talking about.
Yes.
Correct? Okay.
Yes.
So are they going to wake up at this point?
I think that if you had enough big things that make
very low chance they're going to. I mean, they may wake up, but maybe there's a low percentage. You know what I mean? Again, do we want to wait, or do we just look? We all had to wake up with the truth, right?
Yeah.
We got smacked in the face with the truth, and we had to wake up the hard way. So, what makes these people any different? Why do I have to gently wake somebody up?
Oh, look, I don't like it either.
No, I'd rather give them a swift kick in the head with the truth, and let's be done with this, man. Let's go.
Well, I mean,
that's just me.
You know, let's go back to what you said that the Holy Spirit had told you back about how you remember how you have spoken on this before with Trump, that Trump was really supposed to run against Obama in the second term, but that God said that my people were not ready. So is that applicable here where there's just too many people that are still not ready? I don't know. I'm a high D personality, which means I'm a high driver. Here's what I like to do. Kick butt and take names later. Okay. That's just me. All right. That doesn't mean that. So I'm not taking up for any of it. I don't like any of it. I'm with you. I had to learn the hard way.
Right.
Producer Ron and I got red pilled just fine. And so, all these people are adults and big boys and girls. And why can't they do it too? I'm
That's
right
right.
there with you. But that doesn't mean it's God's plan that way. I don't know. So
I think it's God's plan to give them a red pill the size of a dang watermelon and just let them have it, man. Who cares?
Yeah.
That's just me. I mean, I don't know. It's just me.
Well, it's truth, and so
It's truth.
But and of course, everything that's hidden in darkness will be brought to light.
But see, go back to
again,
this
you
biblical
have-
scripture where it says the truth will set you free. So if that's the case, why aren't we giving them the truth to set them free from their apathy or to set them free from being
cognitive dissonance?
Sleep.
Cognitive dissonance. You can show people the truth and them still deny it. You can take a horse to the water, but you can't make them drink it. And so I think there are some people that are not hurting bad enough. I mean, there are a lot of, I hate to say this, but let me run this by you. There are a lot of, and y'all this is the way it is. Don't get mad at me. There's a lot of white middle-class women that care more about their colored leggings they're going to wear today than any of this other stuff that's going on. They do not want to know it. It does not serve them. When you go on Facebook, you see all these women who are showing you the latest jacket or vest and shoes and sneakers, and they have no idea what is really going on in the world, and they don't seem to want to. That's what they put their money and their time into, and that's what they do posts on and all the videos and all that stuff. It's very shallow. Americans have had it very good. And what does it say? What's the saying? Good times produce what? Weak men. And guess what? Women too. So
at what point do we pull the trigger? That's my thing, because you're always going to have a percentage of the population that's not going to want to wake up, no matter what we do. There's always going to be that percentage, right? So whatever that percentage is. So at what point do we say, okay, I got enough awake people here. I'm going to pull the trigger and we're going to do the Insurrection Act and we're going to get these guys out of here after we've lost how many innocent people?
But how does the Insurrection Act, how is that a good thing?
That to me is what implements military action to get these people out of here.
So military action here in the United States on the streets, you believe is the right way to go?
Look, you have 50 million strong in this country, between 40 and 50 million at this point, right?
Yeah.
We've already heard from J.J. Carroll. Border Patrol can't handle it. ICE can't handle it. Homeland Security can't handle it. Your National Guards aren't going to be able to handle it probably at this point. It's going to take some type of a mobilization of military of some sort in order to get these people out of here. It's too big for what we have. Look, the proof that it's too big for them to handle is the fact they're offering them $3,000 to self-deport. What does that tell you? They're saying out loud, we don't have the capability of getting you out of here. We're going to pay you to get out of here. Well, that just happens to be our money, by the way. Who gave you the idea? Why not put a bounty on their head? Why not certify every person or deputize every person, American citizen, and start making a living doing it, collecting them. Go get them, send them out of here, round them up, put a bounty on them.
I'm all for it. But here's where we go back to the cognitive dissonance and the brainwashing. Okay. So you got so many people, like I said, with the pink and the green and the purple hair that hate men. They believe the crap that they've been fed. They're not all there. And so they're chasing around ICE people, and ICE people are going, do you realize that you are trying to interfere with us getting a rapist or a murderer? They don't care. These people will lose their ever-loving minds if something big happens with ICE or with the military. I don't know. I just personally think you have to weigh which way is going to be better than the other. And I think we got to have more people awake. I think you got so many nut jobs that do not understand, and they have TDS. I mean, there are so many people that don't like anything that has to do with Trump. That's just...
Well, that's where you got to be set up ready to go with water cannons. This is where we have the right equipment in place. This is where we have the right people in place. Trump unfortunately has not done that. We don't have the right people in place as far as his administration is concerned.
Yeah.
We just don't.
Yeah. What I'm afraid of is once you go there, once you do that, there's no taking it back. And how is Trump going to look then, especially to women? See, what you got to look back at, what I always go back to, and this just makes me so sick to my stomach. I'll just tell you, is the whole Beth Moore thing. Okay. So when President Trump was running against Hillary Clinton the first time, right, Mark?
Right.
Okay. Beth Moore comes out a month earlier. It's like that before the election. And she's like, that rapist and this and that. And I just can't stand how he talks to people.
Well, she's running
and
a
I'm
program.
like, and yeah, and completely. But guess what? How many women fell for it twice on Sunday, every day of the week and twice on Sunday? Okay, that's the problem. Just because we can see it doesn't, how many millions don't see it and they play into it? And so that's the problem. We know what's the right thing, but I think it's in God's, I believe, well, so I'm worried that if he does take the military action, then once you've gone there, there's no going back. And there's no, unshooting that gun or whatever you want to say.
Well, look, most people, and I'm going to address that apathetic crowd for a second here. Most people want to sit back and eat the popcorn, or they want to say they want to stick up for Trump for lack of action, or the green hair, whatever the case may be, is because they haven't been directly affected yet. But if an illegal alien breaks into their house and kills one of their family members, who are they going to point the finger at? Trump. For not acting. Now all of a sudden they just woke up the hard way. So to prevent that, certain things are going to have to take place. You can't drive down the street. You can't walk on the beach. We're showing this right now. It's not safe to do anything right now unless you're heavily armed somewhere. We just had those two guys cut loose on a Texas overpass. I can't believe anybody in Texas didn't shoot back, quite honestly. But it's only going to take somebody else shooting back to start it off. And then it's over. It's over at that point. I don't want to see that happen. Because if we get in a civil war like what's going on in Mexico, we have the largest army on the planet. We would never recover from something like that. And that's what I don't want to see happen. So you have to weigh what's more important. Do we get into civil conflict because the Patriots are fixing to take matters in their own hands? In which case, those with the pink hair ain't going to be pink very long because they're going to wake up real quick when it hits the streets.
Yeah.
Anyhow.
It's just there's so much. We kind of went off the plan here, but these conversations have to happen. Tad Gray and one, I'm with you. So here's the question mark. Also, why is Trump not reversing the bill that Obama put in to allow the lamestream media to sell the propaganda? That bothers me too. Tad Gray and one was thinking about that last week. That bothers me a lot. A lot. And just so y'all know too, I'm just going to say this. I've said it before, but it's been a minute. And many of you know the vision that God gave me that really woke me up to about the truther movement, so to speak, and all the podcasters. And so I believe that the Holy Spirit showed me, I know what the Holy Spirit showed me. I'm the infiltrator. Mark's the infiltrator. This movement, I absolutely believe, without a shadow of a doubt, was set up. It's just like the Holy Spirit said. Do you really believe that they allowed everybody, meaning ABC, NBC, CBS, even Fox is on the list, MSNBC, all that? Do you really believe that they allowed for everybody to just turn their TVs off and move over to, the internet and the truther movement? Of course, they didn't just sit still. I believe they created it. Because the Holy Spirit showed it to me. Okay, so we'll move on. I believe that when you start out with a video that says, I'm not calling anyone a liar, boy, you know it's getting ready to go there. And that's what this video does. Let's take a look.
Look, I'm not calling anyone a liar, but I do have decades of experience watching people lie. And here are 4 techniques they resort to when they're cornered. The first is deflection.
The Dow right now is over. The Dow is over $50,000. I don't know why you're laughing. You're a great stock trader, as I hear, Raskin. The Dow is over 50,000 right now. The S&P at almost 7,000. And the NASDAQ smashing records.
Make it about something or somebody else. Try to stop the line of questioning altogether by bringing up unrelated issues, and in this case, really unrelated issues. Maybe they'll forget they asked the question in the first place. Next is something called obfuscation.
Is the public going to learn about men that abuse these girls? Like, what does that mean? I don't understand what that means.
So, in response to a question that's as clear as day, the person suddenly appears confused. And in their mind, if they're confused about the question, they shouldn't have to answer it. Moving on, let's take a look at the overt display of contempt.
Did you tell the Attorney General that Donald Trump's name is in the Epstein Files? Yes or no?
Why don't you try spelling it out?
Yes
if you're gonna
or
mock
no,
me?
Director?
Use the alphabet.
Yes or no?
No. A, B, C.
Director,
D, E, F.
This is another form of deflection, but with a healthy dose of arrogance thrown in. Instead of answering the question, they belittle it, and they belittle the person asking it. The overall strategy is the same, though. Avoid the direct answer that you can't afford to give. Number 4 is something we see a lot of nowadays, and I like to call it whataboutism.
None of them asked Merrick Garland over the last 4 years one word about Jeffrey Epstein.
Wait, you think I did something wrong? Well, what about that guy? As if someone else's actions somehow excuse your own. Folks, when you have the truth on your side, you don't need deflection or obfuscation or any of that. You just answer the question. Otherwise, you run the risk of being called a liar, and nobody wants that. What other ways do people avoid telling the truth?
They're not liars. Come on. I mean,
Cash and Pam. I love his examples.
Look, this again. This administration has got to be one of the biggest embarrassments internationally. We've got to be getting laughed at all over the world right now because they know they sit there and watch this stuff. That they know that it's nothing but a clown show.
Yeah. There's a lot going on. And I go back to, one of the things I was saying last week, I think it was when Steve Jarvis was on, I said, what is it tangibly that we've gotten? If you think about it also, now there's a big brouhaha going on over even the food stuff, what can be put in there. There's just so much stuff going on with all that. But it's like you think you're taking a step forward and then you end up taking
10
that step
steps,
backwards.
10 steps back. Look,
that too.
We have, every time I turn around, as much as I love the president, I appreciate what he's doing. Okay. But every time I turn around, he's endorsing something or someone that's killing humanity or sickening humanity. We had the vaccines. Then we had, what do we got? He backtracked on abortion. Then we got 5G he was bragging about here a few weeks ago. And now they're fixing to implement 6G. All of these things are killing Americans and killing us worldwide. He won't stop the chemtrails. He won't even address the chemtrails. It won't even come out of his mouth about geoengineering. The storms are killing us. And so, and now he just had the executive order on glyphosate. So it's like, what is going on? It's like every time I turn around, he's endorsing something or someone that's killing America or all of humanity here, if you will, and we're not doing anything to stop it. It's like this is another reason why people are getting angry and fed up.
I hear you. That's good points. It is very difficult to explain how it is that the shots and all of that. I mean, a lot of that, you're not going to be able to put that genie back in the bottle.
No, he's not walking away from that one.
All right. So there's a gentleman that he's talking about an army against American government that makes some good points in this video that we wanted to show you. So let's take a look.
To the American government, there's an army forming against you. An army of citizens, 300 million strong, to come against you, American government. We will not lose. We will not bow. We will fight until you, our American government, our oppressive, tyrannical American government, has been defeated. We will not stop. We are strong. We are the American citizens, and we will take this country back through the grace of God and his people. American warriors and American veterans, stand up and let's fight against this tyrannical government. Come together and be strong, united as one. God loves you. I love you.
There's more of the warning that I've been giving. I'm seeing this accelerate more and more on social media now with these videos of guys coming out telling people to prepare and get ready because it's coming. Everybody knows something's coming here. So, what do you do?
When I see this video, there's something that really bothers me about it, and it's just got J6 vibes to it for me. What I'm concerned about is that patriots are going to be blamed for something that really isn't the patriots.
Correct.
And if the patriots get blamed, then Donald Trump's going to get blamed.
Correct.
And so I'm not saying this guy is connected with Flynn and all that. I'm just saying.
No,
It just gives me J6 vibes.
this has nothing to do with Flynn. I don't care what Flynn's doing out there. What J6 was. I'm talking about this stuff that we're showing right now. I don't think it has anything to do with Flynn.
Yeah,
I think this
it gives
stuff.
It gives me that vibe, though.
It could be. I'm not saying that it could be, but the point is, this is accelerating where people are sick and tired of it, and this is the warning about to come to pass that God gave 6 years ago.
Yeah, I see it. I see it. All right. So there's another gentleman that has a whole thing that he wants to talk about. He's talking about taking back our government. Let's take a listen.
All right, guys, I got somewhat of a plan, and I need you to stick with me to the end of this video, okay? Because I've got a lot to say. I want to talk about March 7th. I agree with that date. Cool. That's a day that people are expecting some change, so let's run with that. But I do want to talk about what everyone's standing for on that, okay? Because I hear people talking about protesting and striking. Protesting is for when you're paying too much taxes. Striking is for when your boss isn't paying you enough at work, okay? These people are eating babies. Neither of those apply to this situation in any form, okay? I'm going to break down the reality for you. You don't want to have to get involved. You don't want to have to put anything on the line. That's what a lot of you don't want to have to do, and that's fair. You shouldn't have to, okay? But you're going to have to, okay? Because striking and protesting is saying, hey, I know the system is and you're all corrupt, but I still want the system to handle the problem. What solution do you seem to think that the system's going to give for this? You think they're going to actually go after everyone? Because they're not. They'll go after the people that we know for sure. They're not going to go after everyone. And that's a problem. Okay, now to the plan. Okay, so the plan that I have so far is I'm thinking I'm going to make a group chat on either Signal, Telegram, one of the two. But we need to be organizing in every state. We need to be spreading the message everywhere. And the people that are ignoring the Epstein Files, we need to be printing this shit out. Every state, we need to be spreading the message everywhere. And the people that are ignoring the Epstein Files, we need to be printing this shit out. And we need to be shoving it down their throats, okay? Post it everywhere. Place it everywhere. Send it out as flyers at work. Do whatever the hell you can do to get the message out there. Make these people look at it. Because everyone that's not looking at it is a problem, and you're being a coward, okay? This requires action, not sitting on our thumbs. That is not going to get the solution that we need here, okay? So as we're spreading the word, what I'm thinking is having somebody in every state go to the Capitol and just really be there to organize with people, okay? We need to prepare for March 7th. We need to contribute as much money as we can to like the leader of each state, and they need to rent buses, okay? Why we're renting these buses is because we can't get on planes, okay? Because we need our guns. This needs to be a very big show of force from the American people. We don't even have to pull a trigger. I mean, the pedophiles, obviously. We all know what. But as for everybody else, we don't have to pull any triggers. We just have to show them that we have our guns and we mean business. What I'm thinking is we go there and we demand the removal of every single person in office. And as we do that, we abolish the two-party system because it's total garbage and we all know it, okay? Total garbage. Only reason it exists is to separate Americans, okay? So that needs to be gone. We also need to implement term limits. That is another big one because I don't know why that hasn't happened. And there's more that's going to go into this. I don't have exact details yet. This was my like baseline plan. This is what I can think of that needs to happen, but we need to be talking about this. I will make a group chat and I'll make another video as soon as I get the chance. But in the meantime, spread this everywhere. If your friends don't have TikTok, tell them to get TikTok, okay? Because it's one of the very few places that people can actually see videos and evidence of what's going on. It is being censored all to hell. Like the other day, I posted probably like 10 comments on 10 different videos in a row, and then I scrolled back up to see if my comments were there. They were not. They were deleted. They didn't tell me they deleted them either. They just got rid of them. So we are being censored, which is why we need to take this off the app. But for the people that are having a hard time grasping what's going on, tell them to join and send them all the videos of, God, do I even need to tell you what to send them? There's so much you could send them, Jesus Christ. But do that. Get your communities involved. And another thing I want to say is I am in no way, shape, or form suicidal. But since I've seen 3 undercover cars pass my house since I posted that first video, I feel it's my obligation to myself to say that. And If you're like me and you're posting videos about this, I'm going to tell you right now, you need to be going to your neighbors' houses. You need to be interacting with everyone around you, your community. You need to tell them what's going on. If they don't know about the files, you need to tell them about the files. You need to tell them that you put yourself in a position to stand up against the government, but they may come after you, because the truth is they very well might. They're going to resist us. They're not going to let us do this by any means. You need to go to your neighbor's house and you need to tell them what's going on. Tell them to have your back. Tell them to keep their eyes open. And if the time comes that they come after you for this, you will have your community there to support you. Because they'll send, 5-10 agents or something like that. Your 30 neighbors come out with their shotguns and their rifles, they're going to f off. They're going to f off real quick. In fact, take their guns from them. They don't deserve them. If they are following orders of the pedophiles, you don't need to pay attention to them at all. Their laws don't matter anymore, because they were made by pedophiles. And that's where they get their orders. So their rule of law is done until we take back our government. That's really all I have to say for now.
So you see how dangerous this is getting. The longer we wait, the worse this gets. Now look, this guy could be a Fed for all I know. He could be setting up, like you said, a J6. I don't know. I haven't a clue. That's not the point. The point is he's rallying the patriots to get involved in an armed protest, if you will. This is what we really don't want, because all it would take is someone to crack off one shot. That's it. It's over. It started, and there's going to be no stopping at that point. And that's what I don't want to see. This is why waiting. Look, I would rather deal with the pink hairs all day long and the backlash from that than to deal with 100 million pissed off armed patriots that are taking their country back. That is not going to be good. Because no amount of military right now is, because we're spread thin right now around the world. No amount of military, and our military is still woke, by the way. We still have a woke military. So no amount of military is going to stop this if it starts. That's what we don't want.
I wonder how much of our military got the shot and is still in the military and is dealing with health issues.
A bunch.
Yeah.
A bunch.
There's no way, but there's not. Okay, so it's very interesting. So, all right, so we have two things that you wanted to discuss, Mark. And so the first one is a U.S. strike on Iran faces a toilet crisis aboard the USS Gerald R. Ford with too few working bathrooms for 4,600 sailors. What's going on?
45-minute lines and a system that cannot be fixed at sea. This is a massive prophetic sign. And I know this is going to sound really crazy, guys, but God speaks in mysterious ways here. But who and what is the Gerald R. Ford, USS Gerald Ford? It is the largest and most powerful aircraft carrier, not just in America, in the world, on the planet. And what God is saying through this is you cannot deal with other people's crap or sewage issues until you deal with your own. You need to come home and fix your garbage, your sewage, if you will, before you fix others. That's what this is about right here. I mean, this to me right here says everything that we've been talking about this entire show right here, that I have been saying for a long time. This confirms it right here, that you cannot fix other people's sewage issues, their garbage out, until you come home and fix your own on American soil.
Okay.
That's what this is about.
Okay. All right. The next one is you wanted to discuss Trump's rededicating the country to God.
Okay. Do we have that image of that for the Army chaplains, please? Do we have that?
Yep. So, Producer Ron. All right.
Thank you, Producer Ron. I appreciate you, bud.
Can you make it a little bit? There you go. Okay.
Yeah. So this is from the Army Chaplains Corps that put this out. Today is Mahia Shiva, whatever that is, celebrating the Lord Shiva's power to transform and renew. This Hindu festival calls for meditation, devotion, and introspection. May all who observe be inspired by Shiva's example of transformation to find clarity in their spiritual journey. Okay, guys, this is a monument to Satan himself that is being allowed by the Secretary of War to be put out on social media. You cannot have the Secretary of War praying to Jesus Christ in one breath, like he did, what was yesterday, day before, whenever it was, when Trump had him up there, and then you're showing this in the other breath. This is the mixture that I get infuriated with this administration right now. And that's what God has been calling out in the prophetic words. This is mixture. This is the same thing that he did with Kash Patel in the Oval Office by lighting the candle to their God. And this is the warning that I'm going to put out right now. God is showing me that we better be careful when he rededicates this country to God. How many religions are going to be represented at this dedication? because you can't say, I'm going to dedicate this country to God. Okay, that's fine. Which God? I want to hear the Lord Jesus Christ come out of Trump's mouth, is what I want to hear. And if I don't hear that, then something's wrong, number one. Number two, even if he does say that, there is a false Jesus, by the way, that this group will say and worship, but it's not our Jesus, not the one that died on the cross for us. So which God, look, in the Old Testament, when the prophets of old used to prophesy, they would say, thus saith the Lord. Well, you don't say that anymore because we're in the New Testament. It's the Spirit of God, right, that we prophesy by. But why would they say, thus saith the Lord? It's because they were identifying by which God they were speaking for. So when they said, thus saith the Lord, it was the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
Yeah.
So is this the God who he's going to dedicate this country to? Because if he has garbage like this, and he has people up there citing Hindu prayers, he is going to bring down the wrath, I believe, of God on himself at this point, because it is going to be a mockery of what he's doing. And he can't do it. He's already, look, I'm just telling you, he's in trouble right now. He is in deep trouble right now spiritually because of this mixture that he's allowing to go on, that he is allowing to fester. He says we need to save religion. No, we don't. God doesn't like religion. God wants to save relationship with the Lord Jesus. It's all about relationship. Religion could be the Islamization of America. But this is what we want out of here. So be careful. Keep on guard and be praying. I know of a group of people who are going to be representing the ecclesia, that are going to be boots on the ground when they're doing this, because they are expecting this as well. They're expecting other religions to be there. So if he does this and he goes down this road, it's not going to go well for the president. He's already in trouble with the vaccines, the 5G, all of this stuff we're talking about, because this is impacting God's people. This is killing people. It is making people sick. So you're either on the right side of God or you're on the wrong side. There is no middle ground here. So he has a choice to make.
Producer Rhonda, you still have that image, if you'll put it back up there. So that's Shiva, is my understanding. And Aqua Girl, I couldn't remember. Yeah. Shiva is a goddess of destruction. All right. So during the whole slowing of the spread, I'd heard the Holy Spirit say, if I'm not in it, it's evil.
That's right.
And then the next day, if I'm not in it, it's evil. And I was like, okay, well, evil. Wow, that's a pretty strong word, God. So the next time that, I hear that, I'm going to ask God about raspberries. And the next day, if I'm not in it, it's evil. And I said, all right, what about raspberries? And he said, I made them. They're good for you. And so, the fact of the matter is, if God's not in it, and so that's what you got to do. One day I was watching one of those news broadcasts while the slowing of the spread was happening, and I heard the Holy Spirit say, where am I in this? And I stood there while they're telling you to stay out of the sun and to wear a mask and all that. And I was like, nowhere. And he goes, exactly. It's evil. And so I think that's one of the biggest problems, is that we have so many people that can't even identify evil. This is evil.
Right. This is evil.
If God's not in it, if the father of Isaac and Abraham, Isaac and Jacob isn't in it, guess what?
Right.
And
It's
so
evil.
he's not in this. This is not him. This is not about the cross. This is not about glorifying him.
No.
And so guess what? It's evil.
That's
the point.
Yeah. So the point also is the fact that you can't sit there as a Secretary of War. People say, oh, he says such a beautiful prayer. Every single bit of that was canceled when they released this right here.
Yeah.
People understand that. So God, if Trump gets up there and he says, I'm dedicating this country to the Lord Jesus Christ, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and he says all the right stuff verbally, right?
Yes.
But yet he allows this on stage, or someone from the Hindu faith to come up there, or the Muslim faith to come up there and pray. Every single bit of it was just canceled completely out. None of it did any good whatsoever. You cannot have mixture. And you got to remember, the president allowed this right here on the screen, allowed this in his Oval Office when he lit the candle. He allowed it. You got to remember, he is the gatekeeper of this entire country right now. Physically, spiritually, militarily, economically. Who's he going to have speaking at this thing, this dedication to God? Franklin Graham? Paula White? Or is he going to have a coven of witches up there pretty much? That's basically who these people are. You cannot have the mixture and call it God. None of this is in God. He is a righteous God. He is a holy God. None of this is God. None of it.
All right. Does everybody understand where we stand? Because we stand in unity on this
Keep
one.
an eye on it.
That's right.
I would start writing in now and expressing your concerns about all of this right now for this dedication. If there's such thing as a website, I have no clue. Somebody can put it in the chat. I don't know.
I guess you can call the White House.
Or call
email
the White House. Tell them.
Yeah. And so this is a big deal. And
it's a very big deal.
And see, yet you have people though that will say, "Well, everything's in God's timing, and we're just supposed to sit back and
That's right.
eat popcorn."
That's right.
And so it's an apathetic
That's right.
believer. And so there is no, where is that in the scriptures? I always go back to that. Where is that in the scriptures?
Look, you cannot sit back on this one. I think this is going to make or break this president spiritually. I really do. Him or his family for future generations. Look, he's already got generational curses that he's brought upon him and his family down to the third and fourth generation from the vaccines alone. The fact that he backtracked on abortion, what happened in Arizona, that is a curse he is allowed to come on his family to the third and fourth generation, that barren and that his kids are going to have to break off. He doesn't realize he's even doing it. He thinks it's no big deal.
Well, and then you've got Melania too. So it's he and Melania have supported.
It's both.
Yeah.
It's both.
And we know that God's not in that. That is evil.
Nope.
All right. Closing remarks, Mark.
Pray for the president, pray for the country, because I think things are coming to a pinnacle here between Mexico and Iran. We're sandwiched right in between the two, and our military is spread pretty doggone thin right now. And so we don't want it breaking loose on American soil here. But go everywhere you go, guys. I'm telling you now, use your Second Amendment rights. Do not go anywhere unless you're armed, because it is not safe out there, and this could get worse before it gets better. I'm not trying to be doom and gloom. We'll come out the other side of this at some point. The longer they drag this on, the worse it's going to get versus handling it. We need to be proactive, not reactive, which is what we're seeing on American soil. We're being reactive. Everywhere else, we're being proactive.
Make a good point there. When you said that earlier, that's a good point. All right. Thank you, Lieutenant Mark Taylor.
Thank you for having me.
Good conversation today for sure, I think. Okay, I saw a comment I wanted to read to you. It says, my neighbor in the Navy, or a couple of comments, my neighbor in the Navy used to jog around our neighborhood. And during COVID, I saw him walking, and he told me that he got the required V. We know what that is, the shot. And now has myocarditis. So a lot of that going on. Remember when Steve Jarvis was on last week, and what was he talking about? He was talking about the friend who had a daughter that went to school with a 13-year-old who had a stroke and ended up, I think, passing away, I think he said. So, and his question to me was, how many 13-year-olds do you know that have strokes? And so 15-year-old, whatever it was young. Katie M 243 says, my dad had a brass statue in our curio cabinet when I was a child. Now, we've touched on this before, and many of you have asked me about these things. Our house was haunted because of it. Yeah. There was evil, supernatural stuff happening all the time because of it. Another thing, don't be burning that sage stuff, y'all. So there's, no. Stay away from people. And stores or anything that sells that stuff. Stay away from all that stuff. You got a lot of witches and warlocks that are in this country. They understand the things of the spirit. But remember what I've been talking about. There's been an intentional systematic dumbing down of the body of Christ. And so guess what? When you listen to witches and warlocks, let's say that used to be a witch or used to be into yoga or used to be into this or that, or was a warlock like John Ramirez, they understand the things of the spirit on such a different level. That's why I like listening to some of these that are now sold out for Christ, and they talk about the differences, and they talk about what the Satanists understand about the power of Jesus, just the name of Jesus alone. And so it's amazing to listen to them, though, because they know from that perspective, and it goes back to, it's mind blowing to me how much people that go to church every Sunday and have for years have no idea about these things because they're not taught. And I believe it's intentional. And so a lot of the spiritual warfare, we're not taught any of that. Not taught any of that in church. Not any of it. And by the way, they're not talking about repentance either. Why? You got to ask yourself. It's intentional. It's intentional. It's an intentional, systematic dumbing down of the body of Christ. Now, I did see a little while ago, that reminds me of Beth Moore, and the comments said about her being abused as a child and she was clearly not healed. Sure. But there was a program being run on that. She's part of it. Make no mistake. And she did the exact same thing a month before the second time that he ran for president, by the way. So, yeah, there's a whole nother thing going on there. When you take up for Hillary Clinton, yeah, I'm sorry, but there's a problem. Okay, so I had said at the beginning of the show that we got a testimony, and it made my husband, and it made me cry. We both teared up. So I wanted to read it. So it's a customer named Rebecca, and she's also a viewer of the show. She says, "Dear Michelle and Godly Granny," I guess she means the whole company. So this is so, and she named it the Organic Dead Sea Mineral Mud. So I knew what she was talking about because that was the title of the subject line. She goes, "This is so good. I can't believe it. I was in a car wreck 6 years ago, and my lower back had damage in the lower lumbar 4 and 5 vertebrae. I have had pain for a long time. I just got used to it and went with it. I bought the Dead Sea Mud and got it Thursday and put it on my lower back. It worked. We went to the beach on Friday and the day was so wonderful. I could bend, sit, walk, and pick up shark's teeth and not feel any pain." Do y'all hear this? She had this accident 6 years ago. She'd been in pain. She just went with it, just ignoring it. How many of y'all are doing that? It makes me wonder how many people are living with pain, just living with it, just going with it. "I know you all pray." And she goes, "Oh, well, so she goes, and I did not feel any pain. I am 75 years old." So she had this accident, I guess at about 69, it sounds like. So, and she goes, I am 65, or I'm 75 years old, and it was a wonderful day. That's just so great, isn't it? "I know that you all pray for our Lord's blessing on all of your items." Yes, we do. We pray for you also specifically. "And you make and send out. You also sent a pin that said, 'Trust in the Lord with all your heart.' Thank you." And so she goes on to say that she gives this product not just a 5, because it's a 5-star rating system on the website, but please share and make sure to leave reviews, especially on something like this where it helps people that are hurting, and it gives them something to say, okay, maybe this could help me too, because they hear your testimony. And so if you've been using this and you got a great testimony, we've already heard of 3. This was the 3rd one. It's just amazing. By the way, crazy thing happened. So I get a text message this morning. It's a lady that we help. And I just looked down and, okay, so let's see. So I wanted to share this with you. Customer is a lady who is a viewer here for the show. And so it was so funny about God's timing. I remember specifically that this lady reached out to me by text, and then I called her. We were talking. It was before a show. And I actually talked about the problem during the show with Eve. Eve was scheduled to be on that day. So this was like an hour and a half, 2 hours before we were going to be doing the show. And this particular lady had neuroma. So if you remember the situation, she had neuroma. Well, we helped her. So we sometimes, depending on situations, we help people. Now, in this situation, producer Ron, I actually fixed up a package, and producer Ron drove it to her the next morning and prayed with her and prayed for her. So, but she had reached out to me and said, on a lighter note, I'm going to do a couple of reviews. She'd written me this morning about something else at first and says, "I don't know if you have ever had anyone tell you this, but since I've been using Godly Granny, I now have no toe fungus." She goes, "I got it years ago from touring." She used to tour with Christian artists. She goes, "It's gone now." She does hair. She used to do their hair. She goes, "It's gone now." She goes, "And I'm only having to wear my toe spacers at night, maybe once a week." She goes, "Thank you so much." That has to do with her neuroma. Okay. And so what we did was we put her on the restless leg magnesium pain terminator. She had some magnesium also for nighttime because she was not sleeping. When I called and spoke with her, I could tell immediately that she sounded like she hadn't been sleeping. So I asked her, "Are you sleeping any?" And she said, "No, I'm not getting any rest." I could tell just by the way she was speaking. We also put her on the Orange First Fruits Lemon Balm, Face and Body Balm, because that helps neuroma a lot. And so we gave her all of that and helped her with that. So we don't really know exactly what's happened and why her toe fungus would miraculously go away. Now, she says that she had used gone to two different numerous doctors, tried all different kinds of things that were holistic and different medications, and nothing would ever help. And that she'd been dealing with this for years. And so I texted Eve and said, do you know why this would happen? Do you have any clue as to which thing that we put her on would have done that? I'm thinking maybe it was the first fruits, orange balm, because it's such a healing salve anyways. And so I thought maybe it was that. And Eve texted me back and she said, oh boy, I got to go back down. She goes, okay, so, it's a different text thread. So she said, she made a point though, and something that we talk about here on the show. And she goes, there were probably things that she needed in both, meaning in numerous things. Of course, magnesium. Pain Terminator has a lot of magnesium. And then also we gave her the nighttime magnesium and the restless leg magnesium. She goes, it's not just about clearing a fungus. Now, this is where Eve makes a really good point. She goes, she also had magnesium to strengthen her natural clearing processes. Remember how we've told you, like even magnesium helps your heart beat regularly. Magnesium has to do with over 300 different systems in your body. Okay. Remember I told you about my eye would always twitch and people would say, oh, you need more sleep, or, oh, you're just too stressed. And it turned out that no, I was deficient in magnesium. I don't have hot flashes anymore. I'm not having any of that. And so magnesium has been a life changer for me in all different kinds of ways. But then Eve goes on to say those twofers, like a 2-for-1 kind of thing, those twofers that we talk about on air are the real deal. All products work hand in hand. That's what we have told you so many times about, is that these things, they work together, or they'll do more than what we even say a lot of times. We've told, when you look at the website, like with the First Fruits face and body balm, those healing salves, we've told you stuff, but then how many times have I read a testimonial where Eve's nodding her head going, yep, but we don't tell you because it sounds so crazy. But when you go to the website, there's 30 things listed. There's so much more they can do. It's just that we'd rather underpromise and over-deliver, quite frankly. But so many of you have written me even about the fur baby products, which I'm very excited. We got a new fur baby product coming out. And so I'm very excited about it. And so we got a new release we got a new release coming up. I've been hustling today. And so we're, and I say hustling, like trying to get things done quicker than what was anticipated. And we're going to have a couple of things released, I think it'll be next week, because everything has to get to me and all that. But I am pushing. And so I think we're going to do another super sale. It'll be next week is what I'm thinking. It wouldn't be on Friday because I've got Jay coming from ATKN this Friday. We're supposed to be starting a 4-week teaching series. So mark your calendar for that. That's going to be great. I'm very excited about it. I had an idea just kind of downloaded to me. The Holy Spirit downloaded it to me while I was standing in my bathroom. And so, which if y'all don't know, this God talks to me a lot of times, has for years, either in my car or the bathroom. And so I'll be putting my makeup on or doing my hair, and God will give me these downloads. And so that was a download that I got. I guess it's been about 3 weeks now. And then with producer Ron sick, we didn't start last Friday. And so it got pushed this coming Friday, but it's 4 weeks. I'm very excited about it. But maybe next Thursday, we might do the release. It's a limited release. It's only going to be a few things, but we're also going to include a super sale. So we'll do that again. That was a lot of fun. And I love just giving people as great a deal as I can do. So anyways, I got some free money. And so I just passed it on to y'all. That's what happened. Got some rebate money. And so I said, okay, we'll just pass it on to the customer. And so I thought that was good. Okay. So great testimonies. Don't forget, leave reviews on the website. By the way, I don't remember. Let me see here if it'll pop right up for us. I'll tell you what else we're going to do is those that leave reviews between now and when we do the super sale, I'm going to give some stuff out. I thought about that over the weekend. And so I just remembered that. So we have, look at this. So the app, we have 1,121 reviews, and look at that, 4.97 out of 5 stars. That tells you right there how great things are. I love it too, because one of the things that y'all always say is, I love all my godly granny things. The other thing I'm hearing a lot of is how great they smell, how great they work, but also that it's like Christmas. And y'all are really seeming to love the way that the girls at the Granny Shack, which is our distribution center, for those that don't know my verbiage, y'all are seeming to really love the packaging. And so that's good too. We don't do it as kind of industrial Amazonish. We do it a little bit more personalized, special, and branded and all that kind of good stuff. So I hope that you enjoyed our time today with Lieutenant Mark Taylor. There was a lot of hard things discussed, not necessarily always easy answers. But what I will say is that in God's timing, and what Mark says is that we're not in God's timing. And so it'll be interesting to see how things continue to progress. I hope that you enjoyed today's show, and we'll see you right here next time on The Michelle Moore Show.
There aren't a lot of reasons to use Godly Granny products. There's every reason, because every time you twist or flip a cap on something from Godly Granny, you're voting no to chemicals and yes to common sense, but without all the electronic voting machines. With Godly Granny, there's no toxins, no chemicals, no endocrine disruptors, no cancer-chasing filler. Godly Granny is a small batch, made-to-order, deeply naturopathic wellness brand. Founded on biblical truth, formulated with pure purpose, and handcrafted by saved folks who know that freedom doesn't come from fake lavender and phthalates. Go to godlygranny.com today. Be sure and use the discount code Michelle10 at checkout to receive 10% off your entire order.
Hi friends, it's Michelle Moore. And when it comes to protecting your retirement, I believe in taking smart, steady steps. Bank of America analysts call gold the ultimate safe haven. And when it comes to precious metals, I trust Universal Coin and Bullion, the official rare coin and bullion dealer of my show. They have been named the best in their industry, both nationally and regionally, by leading organizations. Consider a gold IRA, a time-tested way to diversify your portfolio with real tangible assets, which lets you move a portion of your retirement savings into physical gold, helping protect your wealth from inflation, market swings, and economic uncertainty. And Universal Coin and Bullion makes the process easy. From rollovers to delivery, they walk you through every step, even if you have one with another gold company. Protect what you've worked so hard to build from the team that I trust, Universal Coin and Bullion, at 800-321-8700, and make sure to tell them Michelle sent you.
Hi, I'm Linda Bamber Olson, the inventor of the Wave Watch, the world's first frequency therapy watch. It features over 1,100 targeted frequencies combined into 150 playlists for ease of use. These sounds are acoustical and they move through your body, through your skin and your bones. You don't necessarily have to hear it. As each frequency goes through, it can be realigning, revitalizing, reconnecting, and even rebalancing your body all the way to the cellular level. So that's why we have so many testimonies for aches, ADD and ADHD, allergies, colds and flu, dental, emotions, headaches, joints, kidney stones, nerves, organs, skin health, swelling, tremors, vagus nerve, and so many more. Use this code for $100 off when you purchase the Wave Watch. Thanks for learning about frequencies, using them, and supporting the Wave Watch.
For Michelle's social media links, go to MichelleMooreShow.com.